Hi, my name is Stephanie Hamiter, and this is my Module 3 discussion. For the first question, we were asked to find 3 reasons to have a written collection policy. And the first one I thought was important was to define a mission, goals, and objectives that can be evaluated. So we need to begin with the end in mind. Are we on track? Do we need changes? And evaluate every so often to see where we are. The second reason to have a written collection policy is to create a plan for acquisition, maintenance, and weeding, because this will help us to uh, establish criteria to evaluate the items in our collection and for our collection. It will also help us to put aside personal bias because we're going to need to follow the written policy and not just what we want, because we will be held accountable at the end of the day. The third reason that I felt was important to have a written collection policy is for those who are kind of coming behind you. If you, in case you need a long-term absence or you're a new librarian is taking your place, written guidance in place in case of a materials complaint. That way, your reasoning doesn't seem so random in the moment, the heat of the moment. It's already planned out for you, and there are specific steps for people to take that have been ironed out and thought through, and they aren't full of emotion. The second part of our discussion was to find an article about self censorship, and I found the decision by school librarians to self censor the impact of perceived administrative discomfort. It turns out that 90% of librarians surveyed have at one time or another kept something off of their shelf due to a perceived or potential controversy. As school librarians believe their principal would be uncomfortable with controversial content, their own level of discomfort rose. After some statistical analysis, they realized there were 2 factors that influenced the decision of a librarian to censor themselves. And the first was concern about community reaction. If they felt that there was going to be something that was controversial, or if they were from a small conservative community, they were more likely. Also, new teachers were more likely to self censor. The second thing that influenced their decision was administrative support. If librarians feel that they're not supported, or that in the heat of the moment their administrator is not going to back them up, they are much more likely to keep something off the shelf. But it's important to be aware of our own biases and the concept of self censorship. One of the very core values of a library profession is intellectual freedom, which is defined as the right of library users to read, seek information, and speak freely as guaranteed by the First Amendment. And if we are allowing ourselves to censor what is on the shelf, then in effect, we are not following the First Amendment. This article is interesting, and I learned quite a bit. The most important takeaway that I got, though, is communication with administrators is key regarding policies, procedures, controversial content, and the right to read before your need arises. So these hard conversations need to be had at the beginning of the year. Lastly, our third portion of our discussion this week was about the article Good Books or Books Kids Like. And one quote that stood out to me was, once a child actually cracks open the package, what they find is something that has the power to satisfy and delight. So while teachers would choose Maniac McGee or Charlotte's Web, students are choosing Wimpy Kid and Bad Guys. And that's not to say that they don't have merit. They do. They have all the things: characters, plot, theme, um, so there's a lot for kids to learn in it, but the biggest thing is that they're excited about it and they want to read it, and that's helping them with their motivation for a later place and time. The article also discussed media tie-ins and what could make a book not good. These are books that are often written with a dollar sign in mind and not the reader in mind, and they don't end up satisfying and delighting kids because they've already seen the movie, they already have that visual in their mind. Sometimes they're written well beyond their comprehension level, and without the show, sometimes they just do not make sense. This is going to affect my collection development choices. It reminded me of some reading we did last week in Children's Lit. The positive feelings a reader has about a book are the same, whether they come from a quality book or one of low literary merit. As long as the reader likes the book, quality or not, it can be considered good. So basically, I have to put aside my taste and my biases and provide books that excite young readers. At the same time, though, I'm going to be exposing them to quality literature so that they can also learn to love that as well. Thanks for watching.